by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Spring in Nebraska brings green grass and warmer weather, but it also brings severe storms which can cause damage to your home. Meadowlark Exterior specializes in hail, storm, and wind damage restoration, as well as roofing, siding, and gutters for commercial or residential buildings. Meadowlark Exteriors focuses on fine craftsmanship and proves that in their attention to detail. They offer free roof inspections and estimates and insurance claim assistance, serving the Lincoln and Omaha surrounding areas. Call today at 402-875-2956 or go to meadowlarkexteriors.com. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The Electrical Workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The Electrical Workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today. The Omaha Supernovas host their final regular season home game this Thursday, May 9th, versus the Columbus Fury at CHI Health Center in Omaha. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 6 p.m. with first serve at 7. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Hear stories from the program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Looking for a job that feels like family? Join Lincoln Industries, where tradition meets innovation. They're a family-owned, privately held manufacturing company with a passion for excellence and a commitment to their community. They have openings on all shifts at both the main plant and air park facilities, offering flexibility to fit your schedule. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's a place for you there. At Lincoln Industries, they invest in their people's success, providing opportunities for growth and advancement. Apply now and become a part of something special at Lincoln Industries.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I am a huge guy.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into the Happy Hour. What?
It's not Wednesday.
Yes, it is. It's Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Whatever it is. I hope I wanted it to be Wednesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. How is it not Wednesday? Whatever. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Well, that just ruins everything. My whole intro, as I had it going.
It's only Tuesday, Rico.
Dang it.
Sorry, I hate to break it to you.
Well, now I'm sad.
Sorry, man.
Welcome to the Happy Hour, sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting. I'm Rico, joined by Austin Orman. You can hear him right there. There he is.
Are you Rico or are you depressed?
I don't know anymore. Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 961. We've got a loaded show for you today.
What is today, Rico?
NBA Corner. It's Tuesday, apparently.
Good
NBA
job.
Corner. Are the Denver Nuggets dead? The New York Knicks escape game one with a victory over the Indiana Pacers. Is Minnesota for real? Will the Oklahoma City and Dallas matchup be fun? It should be. How many games does it take before Boston realizes that they're better than Cleveland? NBA corner in full effect coming at you next. We're also going to talk a little bit of Nebraska football's recruiting strategy. Send everyone. That's it. That's the strategy. Send everyone as they head into Omaha and try to get some of the best players out of the state, out of Omaha, to commit to the university in the class of 2025. And then we'll have the Chris crossover as Eric Strickland will join us and we'll ask him a couple questions, possibly Husker football recruiting, possibly NBA. And then it'll be on the block after that. But for now, you've got the happy hour with me and Austin. Austin, sir.
Rico!
How are you on this beautiful Not Wednesday?
I am great on this beautiful Not Wednesday. It is a beautiful day. Missed the storms last night, thankfully. Did have a smoke detector start going off for no reason.
Ghosts.
Yeah. And of course, you look at it and it says, oh, if it's beeping 3 times rapidly, it's because it's at the end of its life. And it was only beeping once. So it's probably not at the end of its life, but it triggered for no reason.
Like rapidly beeping or just like,
no, just like the regular beep, beep. Like it wasn't beep, beep, beep. So anyways,
did you fix it?
Okay, here's the thing. Kid had a hard time going to bed last night. And then he's down for like 10, 15 minutes. And then this
and then it starts going off.
Fire alarm, smoke detector
usually how that works.
Starts going off. But he didn't wake up through that, which was weird.
Did you like
come to find out, this was not a smoke detector with a battery. It's like hardwired into the ceiling. So I thought I like ripped it out of the wall. I've only ever seen him where you like twist off and then you pop the battery out. Apparently there are different kinds of smoke detectors. And this is one of them. So I have to figure out either
I have to turn your house off.
I have to turn my house off or figure out how how it's all wired up there. And
you have to find the battery.
I've been a homeowner for 2 years and that's not long enough to know how all this works. So we have to figure that out. So now there's no smoke detector in our downstairs.
You have to find the battery hidden in your house and replace it.
And so here's the thing. We just had to replace the other one not too long ago. So like we have the right batteries. But this one doesn't take batteries. And I'm scared to deactivate it because it says if you press this down, it'll deactivate it and it's done forever. There's no going back.
Oh.
So I'm kind of scared to deactivate
They're
it.
Just like, if you turn this off, it's done.
Right. And maybe it's, I appreciate you guys and your advice. I'm taking the text line home with me. But yeah, that was not how I planned to spend.
Can you deactivate? It's done. You gotta throw it away.
Right. And like I don't want to deactivate it if it's still working. Like maybe it was just, some lightning that set it off or something. But I just don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I wish I could
home
help
ownership.
You. I wish I could help you. But I can't. Those storms last night were soothing as long as everybody is okay and nobody has any water in their basement or anything. We have like some standing water in our yard. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Our neighbors have just a constant drip from their hose and their faucet, and it's right next to the side of their house, obviously, but it's on the side that we share with them.
That seems bad.
And they haven't done anything about it.
That seems
for as long as we've lived there.
That seems bad. That water bill must be humongous.
It must be, and I hope their foundation isn't in trouble. But also, I'm starting to worry about it. We haven't had any issues with it from our side yet, but I'm like, y'all know this is a thing,
that
right?
Could be a problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of foundations being in trouble, the Denver Nuggets. You like that?
That was very well done.
That was a good one.
Job well done.
That was a good one. High five.
I applaud you.
The Denver Nuggets lose both of their first 2 games in their playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last night was atrocious if you are a Nuggets fan. Amazing if you're a Minnesota fan, which I have not run into any Minnesota Timberwolves fans.
You run into one every day here.
Aside from Jay Foreman.
Okay, thank you.
But he grew up there, so that doesn't count. I haven't run into like any Minnesota Timberwolves fans outside of Jay Foreman. So if you're out there, shout out 402-464-5685 Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line. Give us a quick little shout out on why you're a Minnesota fan and how excited you are for this playoff series as the Minnesota Timberwolves completely destroy home court advantage for the Denver Nuggets and go up 2-0 in the series, heading back to Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, no Rudy Gobert as he was home for the birth of his child, his first child. And apparently Gilbert Arenas called him soft for that, but
that did happen.
Whatever. Agent Zero.
I have no idea why he would even say that. But Austin, thoughts on Minnesota going up 2-0 and doing it in the fashion that they are against the defending champions?
The first game was the Anthony Edwards explosion. Jokic had a near triple-double, but you're like, okay, Ant just stole a game on the road, right? He's staking his claim as a top 5 player in the NBA. He's trying to do everything in his power to get there. So you're like, okay, hey, that's cute. Look at Minnesota go. No one does that to Denver. Denver didn't play great. We're like, it was still a 7-point game. Clean up a couple things here and there. You'll be fine. And then you get last night, 106-80 in terms of the final score.
It wasn't that
much closer than the game itself.
Like, to say that it wasn't that close and it was a 20-plus point beatdown
of the defending champs in their home arena.
And it still wasn't that close.
It was not that close. Message sent. And not only did the Timberwolves say, we're here and just win a couple games, they legitimately made Denver look shook last night. Between Jokic kind of throwing that weird spin pass behind Aaron Gordon in transition, Jamal Murray throwing the heat pack at the ref, also missing, as Tim Legler pointed out.
Yeah.
Just cold-blooded from old legs.
Which is kind of, what was happening the entire
rest
night
of the night, because he ended up 3 for 18, I want to say.
Yeah
3 for 18, 0 of 4 from 3. Did have 13 rebounds though.
The danger with Jamal Murray is if he's on, he's one of the better players, one of the better guards in the NBA, but when he's off, he is going to cost you a game, and
which hasn't happened all that recently.
It hasn't, and I'm not going to say it's not him that cost you that game. It was Minnesota's defense.
Minnesota is proving the defense is not dead in the NBA.
Oh, dude, the lockdown defense that Minnesota was playing. Naz Reid, I believe, if I remember the statistic correctly, that players that took shots against Naz Reid were like 0 for 11 or something along those lines against
0 for
Naz
3,
Reid.
one possession by Jokic.
Yeah, against Naz Reid in last night's game. What Minnesota is doing defensively is nothing short of amazing, because you hear a lot of people talk about, I don't watch the NBA anymore because there's no defense, there's no this, there's no that. If you watch this Denver-Minnesota series and you're a big defense guy for the NBA, this will get you to fall in love with at least Minnesota and the way that they play, because they play a swarming, harassing defense, not allowing Jamal Murray to get into any type of open space, frustrating the offensive players to the point where when they do finally get an open shot, they're kind of rushing it. They're not in their same rhythm because they've been harassed all game, and they're going to get tired a lot faster, which is going to take their legs out from under them, which is going to affect their shot.
I can also point people to Cleveland-Boston, which starts tonight. If you're looking for defense, you're going to have Drew Holiday and Derek White on Donovan Mitchell for quite a bit of time. And that should be a fun matchup. And then that Cleveland-Orlando series was not a thing of beauty. I don't know how much of that was good defense and how much of that was bad offense, but those were slugfests. They were. Is it tougher to play good defense in the NBA? Yes, I think a lot of teams are holding on to some outdated principles that worked when three-pointers weren't quite as common. But the Wolves have built, right now, the archetypical defensive roster. Length everywhere. Competition up and down the roster. Best defensive player in the NBA right now is Rudy Gobert. And oh, by the way, they did it without him.
He didn't play last night.
He wasn't there. He was gone.
That's crazy.
Didn't even play. And they still hold the defending champs to 80 points on their home court.
Slaughtered them.
It was insane. So I as much as I want to detract from Denver and say, yeah, it's hard to go back to back. Yeah, it took a couple buzzer beaters to beat the Lakers. Probably should have been a longer series. Maybe Denver's been skating by all year. But to me, this is less about Denver. This is more about Minnesota saying, we are here. You have to deal with us.
And this is the Minnesota team that was battling with Denver and OKC up until the final day of the final few games of the regular season on who was going to get the 1, 2, and 3 seed. Those three teams were the class of the West. And Minnesota is showing, at least right now in the first 2 games of this series, that they should have been a higher seed than Denver.
They only finished 1 game difference.
Exactly.
And OKC won the tiebreakers, which is why they ended up with the 1, because coming down to the last day, the 1 seed wasn't play for the Timberwolves. You have the defending champs, the Nuggets, at the 2, could have been the one, but you know what you're getting from them.
Mhm.
And then the two young, I don't say Bucks because that's an NBA team, but the two newcomers on the block in Oklahoma City and in Minnesota. OKC ends up just one game better than Minnesota on the year. They get the one. Minnesota drops all the way down to the 3.
Mhm.
Minnesota had no issues with Phoenix. Minnesota has had very few issues with Denver right now. Those are two completely different teams. If we're on a crash course for Minnesota, Oklahoma City to get to the NBA Finals, we might just have 2 NBA Finals.
It's going to be nuts because, and it is just nuts already because when you think about Minnesota and OKC right now, OKC, I don't know how much playoff experience they have, combined on their roster. It can't be all that much aside from some veterans who are, sitting the bench or getting in for a couple of minutes here and there. But their starting rotation, their stars at least, Shai and Chet don't have. Shai has maybe 1 year of playoff experience. I'm not sure if he even got to the playoffs.
Has Bismack Biyombo been to the playoffs?
Bismack, yeah, he's been to the playoffs with a couple of different teams. I don't think he's
well, yeah, they made it last year in the play-in, so they just took a big step this year.
Yeah,
remember Lou Dort shooting from the
right.
corners.
Right.
Gordon Hayward.
Gordon Hayward has some playoff experience when
Mike
he was
Muscala.
in Boston. How much does Mike have? He has a decent amount. But again, these are guys
Kenrich Williams.
Outside of Gordon Hayward and Bismack, not like a starter on a playoff team, I don't believe, unless he was with Minnesota, Kevin Love, Minnesota. They made the playoffs a few times, didn't go very deep. But Bismack has I think he was with that Kevin Love Minnesota team. I know he's in Minnesota for a while. But he has some playoff experience, but to the level of Phoenix, like the guys on that roster, no. Minnesota's same way outside of Rudy Gobert, who's been in the playoffs.
What if I told you Bismack Biyombo was never with Minnesota?
Never?
Never.
Why am I imagining Bismack in Minnesota?
He's at Charlotte, Toronto, Orlando, back to Charlotte, to Phoenix, to Memphis, to OKC.
Okay.
So, whatever that's worth.
Been in the playoffs with a couple of different teams.
Yeah.
Very little playoff experience between Minnesota and OKC, and they're probably going to meet for the Western Conference Finals.
Good. New blood. And here's the thing. I'm a Warriors appreciator and respecter. I'm a LeBron appreciator and respecter. Okay, but the West, especially, I think, needs some new blood. In the East, you've seen Embiid, for the most part, be able to stay healthy. You've seen the rise of Giannis over these last few years. Maxi's fun. Mitchell being traded out East. Banchero's out there. Boston has really built it themselves, more so than they did their last championship run. The West really needs new blood, right? The East needed it. And that's why I was happy that LeBron went West to mix things up over there quite a bit. So for the East, it's seen these new stars develop. The West is seeing the older ones age out. Jokic obviously has arrived. Anthony Edwards is staking his claim. Wemby just won Rookie of the Year.
John Moran, if he can keep himself out of trouble.
Oklahoma City, all those teams. The West has needed new blood for a while, and I think it's starting to get it.
I completely agree there. And now you'll see Phoenix potentially blow things up. Although they don't. Matt Ishbia doesn't believe that they need to, and he thinks that many teams are jealous of their roster as it's currently constructed, which you have some older stars on that roster and some good talent, but I don't know how many people, especially now in the West and some of those teams in the East, are actually that jealous of that roster.
It's maybe Charlotte, maybe Washington, probably not even Detroit. Portland. Does Portland trade where they're at? Probably not with Scoot and
probably
Anthony.
Not. You're potentially in a good situation if those guys develop the way that you think that the way that you want them to.
Yeah.
No, not a lot of teams are
Utah
mixing up there,
no.
But it's going to be interesting because you say in the West, OKC, Minnesota, right? Again, not a lot of playoff experience between the teams. I don't know all of Minnesota's roster, but I would say probably Rudy Gobert, the most playoff experience amongst their starters. Mike Conley, you're right.
Is there. Kyle Anderson has made it a time or two.
Who's made it between Conley and Gobert, who's made it the furthest? Because Conley was with Memphis for the longest time, and that's probably the team that he made it the furthest.
I think they made the conference finals at one point. Conference semis, at least. I don't think Rudy's been there, has he? Not with Utah.
No, Utah would make second round a lot, but
Yeah.
not. I'll just say both.
Oh, Monty Morris.
Monty Morris. Okay. Denver.
Yep.
Not a starter though.
No. So, to
But
your point about
but
the
still
starters,
the ability to show and tell Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, your stars, what it's like to play in these playoffs, what it's like to make it this far in the playoffs. And then you look, in the East, Boston, every single year, seemingly making it to the second round, potential conference finals teams, youth, but experienced at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
New York, youth-ish, like middle. They're not a young team, but they're not an old team. They're like that middle-aged team. They're Villanova. That's
sure.
It's that. Oh, you're 3 year, you're juniors, and you're making the NCAA championship. Like that's what New York is right now. The Nova Knicks. And then you've got Cleveland, who is youthful, led by a not middle-aged, but middle-aged NBA Donovan Mitchell, who's made the playoffs a lot in Utah, and then the Pacers, who are a youthful team.
Yeah.
So
Siakam. Been around.
Siakam has that title in Toronto. OG has that title in Toronto as well, though. So it's going to be a really interesting youth movement out west and in the East. And like you said, seeing these aging stars age out of the NBA, it's weird, but we're at that age where the guys that we grew up watching are now leaving the NBA slowly but surely, and we're going to be those guys like, man, this guy's good, but he wasn't as good as this. We're reaching that time, and it's a little weird. It's really weird seeing the guys that you grew up watching get old and not be as good as you remember them.
Right. It's trippy because they're the greatest of all time in our minds, right? Growing up, it's, these are the legends, just the players we remember, the ones we have these attachments to. We'll look back in 15, 20 years, and some of them will be, he was just kind of a guy. He's just kind of there. More a cult hero than anything. Also, before we go to break, I want to give you, obviously it's your show, so I don't want to give you, it's your platform, but let me throw this out here to you. 29 years ago today, Reggie Miller's 8 points in 9 seconds. I want you to talk about, and then what happened.
It's a great moment, but didn't win the series. You won the game. You lost the next two. Sorry about it, Reggie. And now TNT's flying him out to New York. He's not scheduled to be on this game. He's not supposed to be there. But TNT, for whatever reason, decided, we're bringing him, we're flying him out, and he's going to be on the call for Knicks pit. Why? Seems unnecessary. I feel like there's going to be a little homerism, a little bias there. I know he's a professional, but still, it'll leak out. It happens. It's whatever, Reggie. Get ready to go down 2-0. That's all it is. All right. Thank you guys for a little NBA corner right there. When we come back on the happy hour, we'll talk a little bit on the strategy-ish of Nebraska football and their want to go into Omaha, stay in Nebraska, and get the best players out of the state, and the whole 500-mile radius recruiting talk and getting some of the players out of the surrounding states. What's that all about? And get your guys' thoughts on that as well. 402-464-5685. Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line. Text in, call in, give us your thoughts as well as we go through Nebraska football's recruiting strategy here on the Happy Hour, Austin and Rico.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Nebraska Neurosurgery Group, led by Dr. Daniel Tomaz and Dr. Benjamin Bixeman, is committed to providing the best care for all of your neurosurgery needs, like minimally invasive spine procedures, peripheral nerve release, brain surgery, including tumor removal and brain injury management, and more. The Nebraska Neurosurgery Group has outreach clinics throughout Nebraska and northern Kansas. Schedule your appointment with the region's top neurosurgeons at 402-904-4729 at the Nebraska Neurosurgery Group in Lincoln on South 27th Street. Or check out the website, nebraskaneurosurgery.net, for a full list of services and outreach clinics.
Hi, I'm Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised in Lancaster County, learning the value of hard work and grit at a young age. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. I know that families and businesses in our community need lower taxes, lower cost of healthcare, and a great education. That's why, as your senator, I helped pass the largest tax cut and made the most significant investment in education in Nebraska history and worked to reduce the cost of healthcare. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on May 14th. Paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
The Omaha Supernovas host their final regular season home game this Thursday, May 9th, versus the Columbus Fury at CHI Health Center in Omaha. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 6 p.m. with first serve at 7. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is Bree Fansteel, local race car driver. Join me and James Rowland every Sunday at 7 p.m. for The Finish Line, where we discuss off-road, on-road, and sometimes next-to-the-road racing on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainer.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to this Tuesday on the Happy Hour.
Well done. We spent all break going over days of the week.
Thank you. Days of the week. 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 That's what my daughter does all the time. Whenever we watch Addams Family and she hears it, she just starts singing that song. I'm just like, it works. It's all right. As I said before we went to break, Nebraska football recruiting strategy. So we're going to talk about here, and I want you guys to join in on the conversation if you would like. 402-464-5685 Honda Lincoln Hotline. Starter Heyman text line. Now, Nebraska football going on the recruiting trail once again this week, and their recruiting strategy when they went to Omaha was as follows.
Send everyone.
Send some.
Send everyone.
Send most of the coaches.
All but one, because he can't.
That part.
That's the head coach. Send everyone as Nebraska goes into Omaha to check in on the number 1 and number 2 recruits in the state. Christian Jones, linebacker out of Westside, and I keep forgetting his name. Please, Austin.
Where's he go, Rico?
He goes to
Think
Millard
through it.
South.
Think through it.
He is a tight end. He transferred from Elkhorn North, and he just took over as the number 1 player in the state a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember his name.
He's not chasing anyone anymore.
I'm not going to remember
Chase
this.
Lofton.
There you go. Thank you. Chase Lofton, the tight end, the 6'6" tight end out of Millard South, transferred from Elkhorn North for his senior season. Took over the number 1 spot from Christian Jones, linebacker out of Westside. They sent everyone to both of those players' respective schools to visit and check in with them and hopefully convince them that not next season, but the following football season, that they will be playing in Memorial Stadium, or at least suiting up for the Nebraska Cornhuskers as 2 of the best recruits in the state of Nebraska. Nebraska also has garnered the commitments of, sorry, I was looking at the all-time best commits that Nebraska had. Nebraska has also garnered the commitments of the number 3, number 4, number 7, and number 8 players in the state of Nebraska. That's Tyson Terry out of Omaha North, Jackson Carpenter out of Lincoln Southwest, Caden Vermas out of Millard North, and Connor Booth out of Bishop Newman. Now, we hear all the time about the, putting up the fence, building the wall around Nebraska, and keeping the best players in the state of Nebraska. And obviously that's what they're trying to do, again, sending everyone to the number 1 and number 2 players in the state. But when you talk about the 500-mile radius, a lot of people say, oh, well, they're also locking down the 500-mile radius. They've got, a recruit from Kansas. They've got a commit from Colorado. They work on getting commits out of Iowa. But, and this might ruffle some feathers, might, turn some people the wrong way, whatever. But when you talk about the 500-mile radius and getting the players out of the opposing states, to me, that's getting the best player out of those opposing states. Yes, that's what you did with Tanner Turch, who was the number 1 player in the state of Colorado, the athlete out of Littleton, Colorado, Heritage High School. But you look at Bryson Hayes out of Kansas, he's the 9th best player in the state of Kansas. Again, I'm not trying to tear these players down and say that they're, not good players, which I'm sure they are. But when you tell me that you're blocking down the 500-mile radius, locking that down to me is getting the best players in that 500, like getting the best players out of the 500-mile radius.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. And I think that's especially important for Nebraska as more and more schools come in from outside the region, right? We know Iowa, Iowa State, Kansas, Kansas State, Minnesota, Wisconsin to some degree will be here. And you can even throw North Dakota State and South Dakota State into that mix as well. Wyoming, Colorado, Colorado State, they mine Nebraska pretty frequently. So it's important for Nebraska to make sure it gets the top couple players, I think, every year, almost without fail.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are any of these guys that leave in this day and age of the transfer portal, Nebraska, even if it doesn't go that hard after them the first time, needs to make sure that there's still a strong enough relationship to where if a guy really blossoms at the FCS level or the group of 5 level, that they know Nebraska can be a landing spot for them, almost regardless of the position that they play. Because I have long been team, you don't need a 120-man roster with everyone from Nebraska, right? It's not about getting as many in-state kids as you can. It's about getting the right ones, making sure they fit the program. But the talent level in Nebraska is rising to the point where I think Nebraska needs to be in the final 3, for all of these top in-state kids at the very least. And not just because they're from the state of Nebraska, but because there's winning, because there's development, because you can see a path forward for yourself at Nebraska. And of course, that's going to be easier to do the further down you go on the list, because Christian Jones has a lot of high-level offers. So does Chase Lofton. Think back to even Carter Nelson last year, right?
Yep.
It's work. You can't take the in-state kids for granted, but it's necessary work. Nebraska has to continue to, like you're saying, use everybody, use every coach, send them all whenever you can to make as good of an impression as you can. So even if you miss out on them the first time, when they circle back, if they enter the transfer portal, they're like, hey, yeah, I get it. I could, come home, be a little bit closer. There wasn't anything wrong with Nebraska the first time. It was just I wanted to go someplace else, or I saw a different opportunity for myself
just thought
somewhere.
that I fit better here.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it makes sense to come back home. I'm a couple years older, a couple years wiser, a couple years bigger, faster, stronger, and I think I can make it work this time.
And let me make sure that everybody, I want to make sure that I'm understood here. It's not saying that when Nebraska goes and is getting the 8th best player out of South Dakota, I'm not saying that you just blindly go and take the number 1 player. They obviously still have to be a fit. If they're not a fit, then yeah, whatever. Then that 8th best player. But if people are going to keep talking about it and you get the 12th best player out of North Dakota, everybody's like, yep, locking down that 500 mile. I'm like, that's not that you're getting the 12th best player in North Dakota. That's not locking down the 500 mile radius. I understand. And we had a texter say that they like the 500 mile radius kids because their parents are able to come in. And that's cool. That's awesome. You don't have to fly. You don't have to go on a long road trip. You're able to, get here and maybe just stay a day and end up driving back and not have to stay in a hotel somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. But when you tell me that you're locking it down, to me, that's getting the best players out of whatever state. So looking at, the state of, let's go with Kansas. Why not? Bryson Hayes, the 9th best player out of the state of Kansas. The top 5 players in the state of Kansas are an offensive tackle. You could always use one of those. A tight end, Lincoln Cure, who is currently 100%. I don't think he's committed, but they have him 100% going to Kansas State. Dawson Merritt, who Nebraska is in on, the 3rd best player in the state of Kansas. I'm going to butcher his name, and I apologize. Desan Brame, which this says he's 100% to Oregon. He is a tight end, again. Even though you have that tight end room, it seems, is filled with players for Nebraska. You could always use another one. An edge rusher. Hey, edge rushers are nice.
Hey, what about that?
The 5th best player in the state of Kansas, Jaden Woods, an edge rusher. Juju Marks, offensive tackle out of Kansas, which is the 6th best player in the state. Again, Nebraska is in on Juju Marks. Brock Heath, 7th best player. Interior offensive lineman, and Keaton Jones, an interior offensive lineman. Again, not saying that you need those players or that it's necessary, but when you're talking about locking it down and you're talking about getting those guys in that 500 mile radius, the top guys are the ones that you're looking at in those opposing states. I think it might have been last year where they had the number 1 player in 4 or 5 different states. And it wasn't just the 500 mile radius, but that's something that you're going to have to do in this radius, because as Nebraska, you're not going down to Texas and taking the number 1 player. You're not going to Georgia or Florida or Alabama or Mississippi or California, Utah.
Imagine if you do, though.
And taking the number 1 player. Not at this current point in Nebraska. You could get to it at some point, but this current iteration of Nebraska, you're not going to do that. So if you talk about the 500 mile radius, it is imperative that you go and get the best players that you can out of this radius. And to me, obviously, it's the best player out of those states.
I think that's always the
best
target.
player that fits your whatever you're doing.
Right. And that's always going to be what's up for debate, is the best player versus best player for your fit, because we can watch all the film that we want, and yet we'll still not come close to actually understanding who the best fit is, in not just a football sense, but an off the field sense as well. Right. And that's where, to some degree, as a fan, you have to trust that the coaching staff is putting in the work and making the best decisions possible based on the information that they have, trusting their data, their intel in their own eyes. But Nathan Budgeta can't get away. He was the number 4 guy in 2013. 2014, I believe, was the Harrison Phillips class.
That was a weird
he was
one.
number 2, Millard West. He goes out to Stanford. And then was it 2015 or 2016, I want to say? Yeah, 2016 with Noah Fant, right? Who ends up going to Iowa.
I think they wanted him to play defense.
Yeah, it kind of positionless. He's still listed as an athlete, not really a tight end. But Iowa had a plan for him. And I think that other staffs
worked out.
Not having a plan, saying, oh, just come to campus, we'll figure it out. is much different than this current staff saying, we see a lot of different roles for you. You're athletic. We love what you've done with your production on offense. We love your approach and your attitude on defense. We don't know where you best fit. We will give you an opportunity to find where you fit in. Here is where we will try you first, but we won't give up on you if that first position doesn't work. We would love, to have you, the person in our program, as an athlete, you fit what we're looking for. So help us, or let us help you find the best position for you in college football.
How many horror stories, and I know the text line has a bunch of them. How many horror stories have you heard coming out of Nebraska football where they could have had this player, but they wanted them to play this position? They could have had this player, but they said, oh, we don't see you as a running back. We see you as a corner. We don't see you as a corner. We see you as a wide receiver. Like, how many times could that have been avoided by kind of the situation? And again, not saying they didn't do that. And maybe the player was like, no, I'm going to be this. And the coaches are like, look, we'll try you at this position. We know you want to be here. We'll start you off here, but we want to see if you will be better at this position. And the player's like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to do whatever. I don't know how many of those conversations were had, but how many, in our hypothetical situations, how many of those situations could have been avoided, and you could have had a generational talent at whatever position if you just said, look, we'll bring you in as an athlete. We'll have you at this position, the one that you want to, but just try this for us. Just in practice, try this for us. Like there's so many athletes that you've heard of that have ended up going to different universities to play those other positions.
Well, a couple that come to mind that I know I've heard just in the last few months are Marshall Faulk and Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Just imagine.
That would have been nice. You imagine Marshall Faulk as a running back for Nebraska?
I cannot, because they wanted him on defense.
I think they said I think it was a corner, right?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, quarterback.
Would have played DB or wide receiver, probably.
Oh. You would have had two Lamar Jacksons on the same team.
You would have. That's right.
That would have been confusing.
How do you differentiate that?
Because you can't
number. Just wear different numbers.
Yeah, I think it's just the number, but you can't put what if they wore the same number? Because Nebraska does the offense, defense can wear the same number.
Would have had to be like.
Do you do L Jackson?
Single digit 13s.
L.A. Jackson?
No, because their names are spelled exactly the same.
I know, but I'm just saying one has L.
What
Jackson,
if you just
one says L.A. Jackson?
What if you do middle initials?
Ooh. What are the middle names? Now this is a thing. What if they have the same middle initial? Then things are getting really weird. It would be really interesting to see how that would have ended up.
Let's see here. Okay, Lamar Demetrius Jackson Jr. is the quarterback.
Okay. Oh, he's a junior?
He is a junior, apparently. Okay, now I need to find.
You just got to look up like Lamar Jackson and put Nebraska. It's
the
only way that ever works.
Let's see here. I am not seeing a middle name listed for Nebraska's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and then Gorilla Bear brings up a great point. It happens in favor of Nebraska. Amir Abdullah came to Nebraska.
True.
Alabama wanted him as a DB. Nebraska said, hey, you can be a running back. Because he played both running back and DB in high school. And Nebraska was like, yeah, we'll bring you as a running back. So sometimes it works in Nebraska's favor.
That one worked out.
An IQ crew, was it in draft day kind of take? He may be number one rated kid in a certain
state.
But did any of the team go to his birthday party? Culture counts.
Culture counts. It's fit. It's nebulous, but it's real. It's legit. It's a thing.
If nobody goes to your birthday party, are you really a good player? I'm just saying. Just
that part.
Just a thought. All right, we're going to go to a break while Austin continues to look up Lamar Jackson, the cornerback who played for Nebraska, his middle name, to see if Lamar Jackson and Lamar Jackson would have had exactly the same jerseys and if they could have worn the same numbers, and that would have been hilarious. When we come back, we've got Eric Strickland in the other room. He'll join us for the crisscross over here on the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Spring in Nebraska brings green grass and warmer weather, but it also brings severe storms which can cause damage to your home. Meadowlark Exterior specializes in hail, storm, and wind damage restoration, as well as roofing, siding, and gutters for commercial or residential buildings. Meadowlark Exteriors focuses on fine craftsmanship and proves that in their attention to detail. They offer free roof inspections and estimates and insurance claim assistance, serving the Lincoln and Omaha surrounding areas. Call today at 402-875-2956 or go to meadowlarkexteriors.com.
Your sprinklers are watering the street or flooding your backyard. If you're on a list that doesn't exist, it's time for Judson Irrigation. At Judson Irrigation, Lee or Lacey or Judson will make an appointment. You pick the time and they'll be there to fix your sprinkler system. Now that's service, a dying art these days.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador online at prg-ne.com. Do you need motivation to get to the gym on the weekend or even in general? Tune into the Movement Hour each Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. Movement Academy owner Robert Kuhlman will host the show as he introduces new ways to stay in shape. The Movement Hour every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you are passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska's always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. the captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Mike Minner, what's up, bro?
When you look at Dylan, you're looking at quarterbacks that kind of come around once every 20 years. And this is a kid I'm looking at, I don't know how old he is, 17, 18 years old. And he is already directing things that 17, 18-year-old kids should not even know. Changing the line protection. Okay, guys, I don't know what we've been 2 weeks of practice. Come on, man. Well, we got guys in the National Football League that can't do that.
On the block with Strick and Austin.
It's, hey, he looked as advertised. He looked really good in the spring game. And because of that, we're going back to a bowl game this year, is what Husker fans are telling them. So I think the fans have a more realistic perspective. And I think this coaching staff has done a really good job of handling Dylan Raiola and the expectations around him.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
When I gave you the cookie, I heard very clearly, I don't think about you, Schmidt.
Why would I think about you?
Because we're friends. We're not animals.
We're men. The only time a man is allowed to think about another man is when that man is Jay Cutler.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Remember that time I said Strick would join us? I lied. Just kidding. He's busy. He's got some things to tend to, but he will be joining us here shortly, I believe, potentially. But it's still just Austin and myself, if I can remember what mic Austin is on. I think he's on that
I moved down to 3.
Hey, there we go. Austin's on that mic right there. I just want to let everybody know that tomorrow is kind of a big day because we got some waffles. We got some Heavenly Waffles coming in tomorrow. Waffle Wednesday, baby. Heavenly Waffles be here from 8 to 11 tomorrow. Chicken and Heavenly Waffles. When I tell you that is the best combination you could ever ask for, it is.
Because you usually get a slice of bacon on the side with it.
It's all just delicious. Whatever they make is fantastic. Chef Bob is the best. Chicken and Heavenly Waffles and some of their favorite protein bites. A little new. So stop by, eat a protein-packed breakfast, grab a coffee from the mill, and hang out with all of us. We'll all be here. Nick and DP will be back from their trip to Columbus and Vegas. We'll ask them how that trip went. By the way, it went 2-0. 2-0. 4-set win in Columbus. Sweepy sweep down in Vegas with a SportsCenter top 10 play as Natalia Valentina Anderson was flying all over the court. Omaha currently on a 3-game winning streak with 2 matches left before the postseason begins in Omaha. Woo! You can listen to it here. You can watch it on CBS Sports Network, but I suggest you listen to it on the Supernovas Radio Network, which I believe might be rebranding to the Professional Volleyball Federation Radio Network. Because, I mean, we're going to be calling some championship games. Can't be biased, right?
I mean, we did contract with the Supernovas first.
I actually don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know if I should have said that. It's whatever. But we will be
Point
down
being,
there.
go Novas.
Yeah, we will be down there for the 3 matchups. The 3 matchups for the Final Four and then the championship matchup. The Supernovas will be there as they locked up the number 2 seed. Atlanta locked up the number 1 seed. Now we're just waiting for 3 and 4. I believe Columbus, Grand Rapids, and San Diego are fighting for those final 2 spots right now. So we'll see. Omaha has a matchup against Columbus on
Columbus
Thursday.
Might need some help because Grand Rapids is 11 and 12 right now. They're currently number 3, and then San Diego's 10 and 11. Columbus is 2 games back of San Diego, but they have more to play.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Like I said, Omaha has a matchup with Columbus on Thursday, I believe, and then a matchup in Grand Rapids. The Columbus matchup is in Omaha, and then a matchup with Grand Rapids in Grand Rapids on Sunday. So those are the last 2 matchups for the Supernovas before they get a couple days off before the Final Four begins. As we welcome in Eric Strickland. Stricky.
What it do?
How are you doing, good sir?
Yeah, just had to handle a little business call.
Little business?
Little business.
Little business.
Yeah, but it was good business. I'll just say that. It's a blessing.
Not a curse.
No, man.
Never.
Yeah, I think I need to go house hunting and try to lock down something.
Go take Rico with you. You guys
Yeah.
go ahead. You can be neighbors.
I don't think we're in the same tax bracket.
Oh, nice try. Yeah, I know, man. You the man. You making all the paper here in 937 a ticket.
I am I'm making enough. I am content. I'm great.
Austin is making paper.
He's gonna take
not
you.
all the paper.
Austin's got little Herbie to tend to, man. He's got a yard he's gonna have to get and all that stuff sooner or later. Y'all gotta doggone it.
We got to park down the block.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
It'll save us for a little while.
Yeah.
It's got a basketball hoop, so we're good.
He's ready.
Is it weird that the one thing that I want from my house is that I want a big enough driveway for a basketball hoop?
No, because Rachel wants that too.
It has
but
to
it
be
has to
flat.
not sloped.
Flat.
Has to be flat. And will look at places and she goes, "You put basketball hoop there.
You don't want the slope?
She's
I
like,
don't want
"You
the
put
slope.
basketball."
No. It works on touch.
It messes everything up.
It works on touch. From the bottom of the slope, you have to put more arc on it. You have to put a little bit more range. It helps you to work on
different shots. Different shots that you will never
because,
take.
I mean, it just helps with your touch because you have to shoot it depending on where you are.
So what you're saying is slope, double or triple rim, and chain link net.
Facts. Let's go.
That's how you were raised?
Listen, I would play on anything, and I would literally take those into account. Another beautiful thing about here is
the wind.
You like Wesley Snipes did on White Man Can't Jump, where he said took a piece of toss or Woody Harrelson took and tossed just a little bit to the left. You gotta account for the wind. So you gotta shoot that ball. You might be shooting it at the edge of the side of the backboard,
and it goes there.
And it
splash.
You gotta figure it out, baby. And you know what I've learned too is snipers. They like how precise and how good they are. Like we talk about shooting snipers, your Steph Currys and your Ray Allens and
your Grayson Allens, your Luke Kennards.
Lord have mercy.
What is with him?
It's unbelievable. He threw that out there.
They led the NBA in 3-point percentage this season.
But
I'm not
didn't
wrong.
help in the playoffs.
It did not.
So
your buddy Bay Hines.
No, but just think of just shooting from thousands of yards away, or you know, sometimes depending on the size of the gun, up to a mile away.
Yeah.
Judging and accounting for pressure and
wind and drop.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. I just think that's wild as I think about it. I watch some of these movies.
It's insane.
Yeah. I watched this show, Rico. I think you would appreciate it.
I feel like this is going to be an insult.
No. I had a friend that kind of put me onto this show, and it's called Love is Blind. And it's on Netflix.
I've heard of that. Why would Why would I like that?
It's the wildest thing that, you literally show up, you don't see this person.
Yeah.
And like, is that like Tinder now, or is it like
I don't know. I never got on
Facebook
Tinder.
dating? No, I'm just asking. I'm just throwing it out. Like I know you may not be on it or whatever the case may be. I think I've maybe over the course during the pandemic, I might have went on a couple dates off of Tinder when I was single again. But listen, those things like that, is that like similar now, or is it because you can see them? Because some people don't put nothing up, but the fact that you can't see this person until you literally say I do, or will you marry me, and she says yes. That's crazy.
You fall in love with the personality.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good
But is
concept,
it really
right?
But that's only if it's authentic and true.
Yeah, but people are
Right.
shallow.
People do be shallow.
Yeah. I thought it was wild.
And the risk of Tinder is that you can get catfished, right?
Facts.
Very easily. Whereas I feel like with this show, it's much harder to get catfished.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, you don't see them, but you
Well, they've
know
been
there's
background
actually someone
checks.
on the other side.
Yeah, there's somebody there.
Yeah.
But what if somebody was putting on the fake voice? And
It's possible.
It is possible.
like, I think I would also think something like that gets worse as seasons go. I probably would say the earlier seasons are probably the most authentic. Because
yeah, that makes sense.
Because then people start seeing it, and then it becomes, how can I get on
and mess with someone?
And
yeah,
and because I some people that saw the earlier ones were telling me the earlier ones were way better because the people were genuine in their approach to it, and they considered it an experiment.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Instead of just trying to be reality stars.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
how
what some of the laters try to come on.
This
just
is
to
how I get my big break.
Get on TV. Yeah. That's why I think it's crazy, but that's how things are today.
Do you think that's more or less authentic than like The Bachelor or Bachelorette?
I think The Bachelorette has a form of you can still interact and see and mannerisms and facial expressions and inflections when you converse. Whereas there, you literally would have to tell somebody I'm smiling. And going back, being my age, right? I remember,
which is young, by the way. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, my young age of 30. 30.
I was to say 30, 35. Yeah. You're older than me, but not by much.
So being 30, one of the things I learned is it's crazy because if I lose this now, Austin, I have, if you're just listening on the radio, I have Austin's phone. I feel naked. Like back then in the day, it's crazy how much memory I used to have. Like, if I was at a bar talking to a female or something, or even a guy, and I could retain the number because if you didn't write it down, we didn't have phones to where, they were able to take all that information in back then.
I used to have my 3 best friends, my phone number, my dad's number, my mom's number, my grandma's number, like the house phone, all of it. Just in your head. And now I can barely remember my own number sometimes.
Exactly. And you don't have maps. Like you had to, to get somewhere, you had to literally probably be the landmark king.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to tell you how to get somewhere, okay, you want to drive down O Street until you see this tall building.
Yeah, I'm not
good
with
Cornerstone.
Yeah, I'm not good with street names.
No, you're right.
I'm always like, okay, what is it by? And they're like, oh, it's by McDonald's and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know where it's at. Like, I don't. You're just like, oh, if you go down to Husker Highway and you turn on this one, and there's like, I don't know what any of that means.
Right. It's wild. I don't know. Just some things that I think about sometimes. What else? What's going on in sports?
The next one.
2-0?
1-0.
1-0?
They'll go up 2-0 tomorrow.
Well, we're going to talk about, I'm sure, because Minnesota.
Denver be shook.
Minnesota. Whoa. Without Rudy Gobert? Scary, man. Scary.
So
scary.
You know the frozen envelope thing with Pat Ewing, right? League's doing it again. League is doing it again for the Knicks. They call the moving screen on Miles Turner when he's set. They don't call the moving screen on Dante DiVincenzo, and he's walking all up into the guy. And then they just don't have a replay angle to see where Aaron Nesmith's hand hits the ball.
You can't challenge that.
And call the kick.
You can't challenge that.
So I'm just saying it's frozen envelope 2.0.
You're ridiculous.
Here we go.
You're ridiculous. First off,
I believe
he was moving. Second, Dante DiVincenzo did get called for a moving screen earlier in the game.
But not that one.
Doesn't matter.
But not that one.
Doesn't matter. Third, you can't challenge a kickball violation. You can't challenge it. If the ball would have gone out of bounds, you could challenge it.
Okay, so then the ref knew to be out of position, so he couldn't see it from the backside.
I don't know. Didn't do it.
Frozen envelope 2.0.
Y'all might be the next worst case than the Lakers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You think so?
Hey, funny, big market, Stricky.
It's
big
unbelievable that they're setting the Knicks up right now.
That's crazy.
It's
I don't know why they didn't set them up before in any of the
Go
other
get
years.
your tinfoil hat.
I don't need it.
They finally have a respectable star player. It's been a while since Carmelo was there, so they finally found a legitimate star player, Jalen Brunson, who's good, who deserves the hype.
He's great.
He is.
Michael Jordan.
We are Jalen Brunson fans in the studio, but man, for them to turn from New York just like anyone else to frozen envelope 2.0,
that's a fact. I see it.
Villainous.
Don't do this.
Villainous.
Don't do this. You know you're wrong.
I did say Pacers in 6 before the series. So.
I know you did.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Not if Halliburton's going to play like booty.
Well,
that was a bigger problem than
Knicks
the
at
ref.
5.
Well,
Halliburton was bad.
Royals is on fire.
Boys are hot.
He freaking called this. I don't understand. The Royals stunk. And now all of a sudden they're fired.
56 and 106 last year. They've already won 21 games.
Yankees are better.
Bobby Witt MVP.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not Juan Soto.
Obviously, it's not Juan Soto. Juan Soto wishes.
What are we playing?
Juan Soto
Pickleball
wishes.
over Stricky?
Yeah.
Pickleball.
We are.
Back and forth, back and forth.
Get ready for another 40 burger by Jalen Brunson tomorrow.
Bring it.
Your Celtics
I'm
play tonight,
excited
though.
for it.
Huh? We'll see which one shows up.
Hey, the Mavs
Kobe
too, right?
White continues. Not Kobe White.
Derek.
Derek White.
Your Thunder play tonight, too.
Your boy. Your boy Chet Holmgren.
I was going to say something, but I'll say it off air. This has been the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for contributing.
His boy Josh Giddey.
On the block coming up next.
Hi, I'm Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised in Lancaster County, learning the value of hard work and grit at a young age. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. I know that families and businesses in our community need lower taxes, lower cost of healthcare, and a great education. That's why